love doing quizzes. Who hasn't done the Game of Thrones quiz? What character are you? Come on. We've all done it. We've all done the 80s rock star quiz. It's curiosity. It's fun, something different. And at the end, what I like about quizzes is that it's a win-win.
If you don't have customers, you won't be in business for very long. But so many business owners struggle with this whole process of lead generation to not only attract the right clients, but keep them longer. Hi, I'm Natasha Mitchell, and today my guest is Catharine O'Leary, and she's going to be sharing her process for building your authority, respect, and trust while attracting your ideal clients by using a simple quiz. Catharine is an economist, market research professional, entrepreneur, and investor, and she uses her broad depth of knowledge to help her clients build quizzes that convert. I met Catharine last year in an elite mastermind group, and I can tell you that she's not only deeply knowledgeable and passionate about lead generation and market research, but she's also just a natural community builder and all-round wonderful person, and that's why I love her so much. So welcome to the show today, Catharine. I'm so glad to have you here.
Oh my gosh, what an intro. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm really glad to be here. Can't wait to dig in and talk about quizzes.
I know. Well, we're going to start, obviously you come from just such a huge depth of experience, and that's what makes you stand out from the crowd when it comes to quizzes. But let's just start by setting the stage a little bit for people. People are not quite sure what market research is. You've worked with some of the big heavy hitters like Apple, HP, and Pepsi. Can you tell us what market research really is and how are brands using that data that comes out of market research?
Yeah, that's a great question. So market research really is just asking, consumers what they want and need, but doing it in a way that really gets at the underlying wants and needs, because sometimes people aren't able to articulate exactly, what they, want as a blue iPhone or a red iPhone, or do they want a 60 megabyte camera or 600 megapixel camera. So kind of getting into the consumer's minds and being able to draw out what they need without just asking directly, because sometimes direct answers are not the way to go. So really being able to marry a little bit of psychology, a little bit of that science and art form with questionnaire development is what a lot of businesses have been doing. I've been doing it for 25 years now. And yeah, they're using it for everything. New product development, generating new customers, getting to know them, profiling, customer satisfaction. So it sounds like a lot, and it can be, but really when it comes down to it, it's starting a conversation and keeping that conversation going.
Yeah, that's really simplifying it down, I think, starting that conversation. And the reason why I really wanted you to talk to my audience today is that a lot of people might think that market research is just for the big brands, but you and I both as entrepreneurs know that there are a lot of challenges for small businesses when it comes to finding clients and finding out what they want. So why do you think this is such a struggle for people?
I think it's just a little overwhelming sometimes. And if you just take a breath and simplify and are able to really concentrate on the problem that you solve and the offer that you're providing, and being able to reverse engineer, and this is what a quiz can do, is reverse engineer from your offer to the problem so that you have a little bit of a roadmap for the consumer to take, or the customer to take on them on, and ups and downs and obstacles and, kind of any objections or, barriers that they might have to get to your offer. So quiz can actually help bridge that gap. Mm-hmm. That's, not something like a checklist or other lead generation tools, which are great and have a place in your marketing strategy. They can't necessarily actually build that conversation.
Yeah, so I that's again really helpful. I think it's starting that conversation, and it's not always natural. Again, if you haven't been in sales and marketing all of your life, it's not natural to necessarily start that conversation. And you're starting to share some concepts, and we'll dig into those more deeply. But having the quiz at that as that first start of a conversation. So you've touched on some of the reasons why quizzes are useful. But why would you choose a quiz over another lead generation method, for example, like a checklist or a PDF downloadable? Why are the quizzes so compelling for people?
Well, I think there's a different need for a quiz. So when you're thinking about your marketing strategy, the lead generation, absolutely 100% quizzes can help you with that, but it goes further than that. So you're attracting your ideal customer, not just freebie wanners, right? Like the people that are tire kickers. And the quiz can really get to your ideal customer. So if you frame it up right and you make sure that you're using the language and you're using the terminology and you're being yourself, you'll attract what you want with the way that you put the quiz hook, the way you frame that, the way that you frame your questions and your answers. And people love doing quizzes. I mean, how long have we been doing quizzes? I mean, who hasn't done the Game of Thrones quiz? What character are you? Come on. We've all done it. We've all done the 80s rock star, quiz. It's curiosity. It's fun, something different. And at the end, what I like about quizzes is that it's a win-win. So they get something like they do with lead generate, like with checklists and so on. They do get something at the end, quiz insight, but then they're able to continue the conversation with you, and you warm them up, and they know a little bit about you. So kind of going to that building the authority, trust, and respect side of things. You've started that conversation. You've given them a way to continue the conversation with you, whether that's inviting them to your sales page or a one-on-one call or maybe a webinar, whatever that looks like. And they get the insights still. So there's a little bit more for you in it as a business owner. And then you've got 5 to 7, 8 questions because you only have 60 seconds. So you don't want it to be, but you do want to, get at the key questions. And then you've got some powerful messaging and communications and ways to reach out and continue to nurture that relationship.
Yeah, well, I love that. I mean, we've got so much noise in the market. Having a fun, attention grabbing way to get people to share some information with you is really important. So I can see how quizzes are valuable. And I know on the back end of quizzes, like being able to segment the list a little bit further if you're taking it to that level, and being able to target your messaging a little bit more in a more tailored way can also be a really great marketing strategy.
Yeah, and you can have fun with it. Your buckets, your segments can be like you a red hot chili pepper, or you a cool as a cucumber. You can have fun with it. So you got into your business, you got into entrepreneurship, probably to have some freedom, time freedom, financial freedom, and have some fun. Do what you love. And if you love what you're doing, your quiz will be fun because it's what you love doing. So whatever you're passionate about, you can make it fun, and don't stick too many labels on it. Market research and the fact that, these big brands are spending millions of dollars, that's fine. Honestly, sometimes they don't even use the data as well as they could. So don't be too overwhelmed by it. You're asking questions. It's a similar way if you sat down with a friend that you haven't seen in a while at a coffee shop, catching up. What questions if they said, what are you doing now? What questions would you ask them, or how would that conversation go? That's the conversation that you really want to have. Tell them about what you're doing, tell them about how you help, tell them about what you're offering, and show them that you're the subject matter expert. And you can do all of that in a quiz.
Yeah, well, it's so amazing. It's not necessarily something that people would automatically think off the top of their head. It seems like they're fun and entertaining, but there is so much a valuable warm up is what I'm hearing, building that trust and relationship and being able to infuse some of your own personality into those quizzes. So that's exciting. And I think that leads us to another point. Again, with all of your experience in this field, what do you think makes a great quiz, and what sort of things should we look out for if we were trying to create our own quizzes?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So I think the best quizzes that I've seen are obviously they start at the end. So start with the offer. Keep that fully in mind. What are you trying to drive them to? What's the journey? What's the destination point, right? So if you've got a quiz hook, that's the question, that's your starting point. And you really want to navigate them through and make sure you connect at the end with the offer. So you don't want to ask a whole bunch of a hodgepodge of questions that don't make sense, that all of a sudden you get to an offer, like you've asked me all of this stuff about my family or my color preferences, and then you talk to me about taxes or a tax offer or financial services or investing, or like, I don't know how you got from A to B. And your job as the quiz creator is to connect the dots, right? So make sure that you're being extremely logical and on point with, I'm asking this question because once they start thinking about this, then I can ask them this question because then they start thinking about it this way. And then to this, to my offer. And it all makes sense to them when they get to the end. May not make sense through, and that's okay. But once they get to the end, it'll all come together for them and they go, oh, wow, that's awesome. Like, Natasha obviously knows me. Right. But it's all self-fulfilling prophecy because you've started from the end, and you're reverse engineering. So you actually have figured out the journey for them, their destination point ahead of time. So that's where the powerful insight, and they don't see it necessarily coming, but you've engineered it that way.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And I feel like that comes out in lots of different things we do in this marketing space, is start with the end in mind. If you're creating a website, you're sort of starting with the end in mind of what journey you want to take them on, or even if you're creating an offer, sort of start with the outcome in mind. So it makes a lot of sense to me that would be the same in Quizland as well. So can we get to a little bit of a bit more nitty gritty? We've talked about starting with the end in mind. Could you just give us a bit of an idea of how would I even go about creating these quiz? Is there special tools that I need for this? What is the like nitty gritty, down and dirty? Like, where do I start with making a quiz?
Wow, that's a big question. It's a good question. So, I mean, first is mapping out your quiz. So your offer, going backwards to, your quiz hook. You want to get a couple of quiz hooks that you like and figure out, your quiz type, whether that's, what personality type are you, or what hurdle are you trying to get over? Maybe it's, what's your readiness score? Put it in terms of those kind of 3 types, if you will, of quizzes. You want to get a few quiz hooks. You want to test those, whether you do that on a poll or, paid advertising. There's a couple of different ways to test those. Make sure that you're not talking to yourself, that you don't pick the quiz hook that you love, because chances are good that's not the one that customers love. I can say that after 25 years. Never, I don't think, has the one that I thought would be the winner actually been the winner. So don't talk to yourself. And then, just create the questions, making them purposeful. Again, you've already mapped out the journey that you want them to take. And then the end, at the end, where you want them to go to, again, the destination in mind. As far as the technology, you'll want to host it somewhere. There are several solutions for that. So that's really kind of dependent, like all marketing tools, depending on your budget, depending on how much you want to learn versus how much you want it to be, template those, how much do you want to get into the nitty gritty? How much analytics do you want? There's a variety of different sources that you can do for that. But I would suggest actually get your quiz mapped out on paper, at least figure it out, because the technology, like that's the least of the worries.
Yeah, well, that's really helpful. And I like that advice. Sometimes people get so stuck in their technology that they actually don't take action on creating the quiz. And I'm the queen of simple businesses, so I'm sure even without like a lot of high-tech technology, there's very many different ways that you can do this, even in a simple startup sort of way as well.
Yeah, there are some free tools, there's some plugins, they have pros and cons. It just depends on exactly what you're going to be doing with your quiz. If you're, creating a massive segmentation that you need a whole bunch of analysis for, you'd need tool A. If it's a lead generation quick for a, quick webinar that you want to do, then maybe option B will work for you. How many quizzes you do in a year, because I guarantee you, once you do one, you'll want to do more.
You'll be hooked.
So there are different ways to make sure that you get what you need, but I suggest just get started. And again, have fun with it, really show your personality. And even if it's something that you don't think is a fun topic, that's okay. It's still important. You wouldn't have started a business if it wasn't. So have that in mind and don't let it overwhelm you. It's not that hard. Just don't try to mash everything into one question and make, a whole bunch of examples like, for example, this or that or the other thing, because then people don't know what they're answering. So keep it clear. The less words, the better.
Love that. Simple, clear questions are important. Great advice all around, Catharine. So now that people have created their quiz and they've hosted it wherever they're hosting it. What do you do with all of that data that comes back?
That's a really great question. This is where a lot of people fall down, including the Apples and Pepsis of the world. No offense, but it can be a lot of data. So again, keep it simple, collect what you need for the task that you're doing at the time, right? So don't try to collect everything you could possibly want in one quiz on your customer. It's not going to work that way. You can't ask, 15 to 20 questions. They're going to get lost and they're going to drop off. So keep it very tight to whatever you're doing at the time. And just making sure that you can, hand them off to that next phase. So the data at the end, you can actually create emails, campaigns. So with your email list, one of the things that I do actually is, if you can work it in, if you have any affiliates or JV partners that you're working with, if you can collect maybe 1 or 2 questions on something that would segment into, this person would be really good for that mastermind, or this person, as you're collecting your own information and your own list, you might be able to segment them to say, this person is really interested in crypto. I don't sell that, but I know somebody who has an investment course on something like that. Yes. Not to say, again, not kitchen sinking, but if it makes sense to do, that's where the data use can come in. So, making sure that you have it and then utilizing it at the back end for, I've got a really cool offer for my cool as a cucumber folks, like in the dead of summer, and you can target those people. So again, you can have a little bit of fun with it. You can create offers specific to segments. If you have big enough segments, and you can actually personalize the information at that point in time.
That's a really great tip. And I think it's certainly tying back also thinking about the purpose of the quiz, regardless of whether you do an affiliate offer or not. It's not just about throwing a bunch of questions out there. There needs to be a purpose behind this. And as you said, you're trying to lead people a little bit down a pathway to, one, evaluate whether they're the right people to work with you, and 2, what offers would be the best fit for them.
Exactly. And you want to be careful to present yourself and your personality in a way that is true to you. Stay away from too many gifts, a couple here and there in the quiz, that's fine. If it gets too noisy and too visually distracting, then people won't answer the quiz. You want to switch it up between it. Like with the internet, the technology we have options to switch up between images and text and so on. So you can make it fresh and you can make it different, but don't go overboard. I've seen some quizzes where I can't even find the text because the images are just so busy. So again, simplify. Remember, they're on a journey. They want to learn something. You promised them an answer to something that they want an answer to, right? So don't send them down the garden path. Make sure you're answering that question and then giving them that option to move on with.
Great. I love that. And, me, the queen of simple, clean, simple, easy to get through, fast, not wasting people's time and giving them a really great outcome. I love that. Catharine, as we get, towards the end of our discussion today, and I know you're going to share something fabulous with us as well, but if people wanted to start using quizzes in their own business, can you recommend some resources, whether other people or whether it's your own, of how people can get started or how they can work with you?
Yeah, no, please reach out to me. I'm at www.Catharine, that's 2 A's. So CATHARINEOLEARY.com. There's tons of information there. And if you are interested in learning how to do quizzes and actually how to set them up and have the right questions and how to frame them and everything, I do have a course that teaches people how to do that. So again, reach out to me and learn more about the course, and I'd love to take you through it.
Fantastic. And I'll be leaving all of that information in the show notes below. I know you've got a new course starting early in February. So depending on when people are listening to this, they may be able to join into that or join you at a later date. But if you're interested in doing anything with quizzes for your lead generation, I highly recommend that you reach out to Catharine and have a conversation and see how she can help you. So Catharine, as we wrap up today, do you have any last advice, tips, just in general about lead generation or client attraction? I just know it's something that just so many entrepreneurs are struggling with, feel a bit defeated with. from your own experience or experience with clients, what other tips might you have for people as they go through this phase of their business?
Yeah, you know what? If it's really like causing you an ulcer, you're probably not doing it, like it's probably not the right system for you. Like it should. It's going to sound cliche, but it really should be fun. And I get that you're not going to be good at everything, and that's totally fine. But don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't think that paid advertising or organic reach or there's a one hit wonder. Like you're going to have to test and go back and forth. And honestly, that's what we all do every day, is a little bit of testing. Try this one, try that one, try this format, that platform. Like it should be a bit of a game. Like just try to do better than yesterday in your market. And if you kind of like lessen the that kind of overwhelm, I think that would be helpful. But yeah, I would also just caution people, like make sure, don't guess, just ask. So make sure you're asking your consumers what they want, because and listen to the way that they articulate how they talk about their problem to solve or what they want, because those are gold. Your customers will tell you what they want if you listen. So make sure to ask and have some fun with it.
Fantastic advice. And yes, ask and then listen to the answer is a good advice. But I can certainly relate to, testing and trying different things. So I think that's amazing advice for people that are either just getting started or have been in this for a while and feeling a bit frustrated by things. So thank you for that. Yeah. Well, Catharine, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been very useful information. I love having guests on because I can apply all these amazing things in my own business as well. But if you haven't considered using quizzes before, I think Catharine has shared so many great tips with us all today. And as I mentioned, if you want to find more about how to work with Catharine or Catharine's profitable quiz funnel program, you can visit her at pqf.catharineoleary.com. That link will be in the show notes. She does have a special offer right now, but only available until early February. But reach out to her, and I'm sure as a listener of the podcast, she will hook you up with some great goodies. And if you'd like my help on any strategies to grow your business the simple way, you can visit me at inspireanddrive.com and download my simple business blueprint or schedule a discovery call with me. So Catharine, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here.
Oh, thank you for having me. I had fun. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, everyone go out and have fun and free quizzes.
I just love that. Well, that's all for now. Join me in the next episode where I'll be sharing more interviews with guest experts on the best and most effective business tips on how to grow your business. Bye for now, and let's keep things simple.